right, welcome back. Like we said earlier, we're looking at the APC and some of the crises the party is facing recently, even as they move to the 2023 elections. And of course, our guest has been Admau Garba, and we have just reconnected back with him again. Good morning once again, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay,
you for
so
having me.
now we are looking at APC, but before we even get to the main crux of the matter as it concerns the APC and all of the crises that your party has been facing in recent times, I know that you were also a presidential candidate. You dumped the APC at some point and went to the YPP, which is the Youth Progressives Party, where you contested for the presidency, but at some point you withdrew from the race and went back to the APC. Can you tell us why exactly you did that?
Yes, because APC, if you notice from my resignation from APC as at that time and eventual joining the YPP, it happened because I was altogether not comfortable with financialization of the political process. And I believe as at that time that APC must have lost its sense of evolution, its sense of foundation, because the foundation of APC was on the basis of allowing masses to participate in governance and politics. So a situation whereby money has been prioritized, it becomes an issue for me then. Eventually, at some point, we now had the main driver of progressivism in Nigeria, which is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu clinching the ticket of the party. And I knew this man. I knew his capacities, his capabilities, his deep sense of patriotism and nationalism, his desire for excellence in governance. And I looked at myself as a 40-year-old man, look into my possibilities and look at his. I now decided within myself to say that I will be committing a very big crime against this country if somebody of caliber of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on the ticket to aspire for the presidency of this country, and I'm also doing the same. The best solution is for me to withdraw whatever ambition I have in the interest of my country, in the interest of the future generations of Nigeria, to back this man that I know and I believe he is armed with all the intellect and capacity and wisdom to drive Nigeria to the best it can be in this particular 21st century.
So for you, you didn't have the capacity to do that. You didn't have the capacity to lead the
I have
country.
absolute capacity to do that, but I believe as at now, based on the present realities, I am a pragmatic person. I believe based on the actual realities, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu stand a better chance, and he is the most qualified among all the aspirants in this country. So the best solution is for me to back him up.
Okay, so that is why you kept moving grounds. Okay, let's talk about the Muslim ticket. Initially, when it came up, it was a big buzz in the country. A lot of people were kicking against it. A couple of months after, it feels like some people have embraced it and others are just like, okay, let's let it go, or let's look into other parties for the candidates that they have. But we know that there are still certain quarters that are, kicking against the same faith ticket, whether or not they are talking about it, verbally or being obvious about it. And that's, goes to loom that there may be some people that will work against that particular ticket because it's of same faith. Currently in the coffers of APC, what is the stand of the APC, that's Tinubu and Shetima tickets now with regards to this whole same faith issue?
The first time the same faith issue was announced, a lot of hula baloo was generated on the media about the Muslim ticket and the Islamization agenda. But if you can notice now in the media, it's all about the competency and capacities of the candidates. What do they have? What will they deliver? Why? Because at the end of the day, nobody goes to Asoro to build mosques or church. And nobody is expected to minister, either as a Muslim imam or as a Christian pastor in Asoro. The whole thing is, how many opportunities are you able to create for Nigerians? What are your agricultural investment policies? What are your macroeconomic policies? What are your microeconomic policies? What are your housing policies? What are your foreign policies? How are you going to ensure that the common man is mainstream in the process of governance? Now, who are these candidates? What is the track record of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in building these kind of structures that benefit the entire state like Lagos? Very cosmopolitan city where you have all religions, not just Muslims and Christians, including the non-Muslims and the non-Christians, because we have them in Nigeria. And how are they faring well under him? How did they fare well under his administration? And how are they still faring in the Lagos that he has envisioned and built? Then you come back to Kashim Shettima. In Borno State, there are also significant Christian population. How were they maltreated when he was the governor? Were they attacked? Were they condemned to obscurity? Or were they part of the government? Were they able to participate? Were they able to benefit from his leadership? Did he in any way show any discrimination between the Christians and the Muslims? It all boils down to your capacity and what you can do for the country. It has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with religion. It is just a game that people used to play to curry emotional favors for them to clinch to political power. And if you look at the advocates of this anti-Muslim ticket, you find out that these are the people that have invested their own political dream in becoming vice presidential candidates or scoring certain positions, but because the system somehow pushed them away, they couldn't get it, and they decided to default to emotional games. It's all emotional game, and it has no productive base whatsoever to Nigeria. What Nigeria needs is competent and capacitated leaders that will drive and deliver the future that we all need. And this is the content, this is the quality, this is the preparedness and readiness you get with the combination of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima.
Okay, now there seems to be like a cold war. I'm going to use the words of we saw on one of our national dailies this morning. There seems to be a cold war in the APC family, and it's a sorry situation. Now let's also backtrack to last week, where we saw the Kaduna State Governor El Rufai say that elements in Aso Rock are working against Tinubu's victory. And let's not also forget that during one of the campaigns, Tinubu had also said that petrol scarcity and even the new Naira redesign policy by the CBN are just ways to scuttle his victory towards 2023. Now, do you share the same sentiment?
Janice, you should know that too, that this is very evident. There are some policies that are only implemented at a certain point in time. But when a policy, a very painful policy as this, though no matter how important it is, but because of its political implication, this is not the right time to implement such kind of policies. The timing was wrong, even though the policy was excellent, but the timing was wrong.
For the new Naira policy.
You said?
For the new Naira policy.
Yeah, for the new Naira policy.
Okay.
So the timing was wrong. And because of the unimaginable hardship it's expected to create, there are so many painful policies that this government has created over time, but because it was at the right time, Nigerians were able to navigate through it and emerge. But we can't come few weeks to election and then we're driving a policy that is going to send voters away from us. So the issue of elements in the villa has nothing to do with the party. I want you to understand that villa workers are not necessarily party members. They are staff of the president. Most of them are workers, either civil servants, or people that are appointed personally to be able to assist the president in carrying out his responsibilities. They might not necessarily get
Okay, serious issues here with network clinging or, our network issues right now. But serious concerns. For some people, the timing of the redesign of the Naira is very wrong, but the policy is a great policy. And I think even going back to our previous conversation where we said, okay, thank you so much for joining us again. Please go ahead with your line of thought. I think we've lost your audio.
You said?
Okay, we can hear you now.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
I said the fact that there are
serious glitch in there from network, not allowing us have a smooth conversation. But
I think this is something that Victor Anilajo was talking about the other day. You know, Garba was talking about
in the villa as alleged.
Okay, he's back. Okay, can we have Garba again? Okay, so I was going to go back on the network conversation. You know, okay, get right back to it. All right.
Yes. So the fact that it was alleged by our leaders that there are elements in the villa scuttling our chances means that those people might not necessarily be for the APC. They are not necessarily APC members. They could even be PDP members, because don't forget, PDP has occupied that house for 15 years. So it's possible that it's just the PDP playing its own game. And that was an alarm, and it worked. Why? Because fuel petroleum queue has now disappeared on Nigerian streets after the alarm. The second thing again is we have the president calling all the progressive governors, sitting with them, having a meeting with them, and assuring them that within 7 days, that the Naira will be in every nook and cranny of this country. If that does not happen, he knows what to do. So it means it worked. It worked magic. So I believe this is even showing that APC is willing to even go against any other person within the system, provided it's not favoring the masses. APC is working for ordinary Nigerians.
Your Excellency, sir, I think that the APC has a way of always bringing in PDP into certain things that PDP is not supposed to be part of. Now, no. I don't know the correlation between elements in Aso Rock trying to scuttle the chances of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the PDP, just like you have mentioned this morning.
Yes, it's possible. Let me give you an example. I told you that, Janice, right, that this country has been under PDP for 16 years. 16 years. And they are able to establish a structure around private sector. Because, you know, their thinking is just privatization, carrying government things and selling it to some few people. So they have done that over a long period of time. The entire supply chain and the distribution chain, where logistics is required, is usually in the private hands. For you to distribute Naira in Nigeria, you need to leverage on the private channels. For you to distribute fuel, you need to leverage on the private channels. These private channels are mostly predominated by the PDP agents. And that is why it is possible for them to do that kind of thing, hold the country to jugular in the interest of them winning the election. Don't forget, they even did the same thing to President Muhammadu Buhari during the run-up to 2019 election. We had a very large fuel queue and some confusion created in the system by the same PDP agents. So PDP thrives on the misfortune, you know, of progressive-minded settings to be able to get whatever result they want to do. They always thrive in this kind of kidnap for ransom kind of game, whereby they hold the system to jugular so that Nigerians can blame the government in power. Okay, so that didn't work.
Okay, so Garba, that is still a lot of allegations against the People's Democratic Party, especially because now part of the conversation is that there seems to be a cold war going on there. But the APC is the party, the ruling party. So how would you still say that there is a lot of, you know, agents from the People's Democratic Party who have upper hand at certain sectors to scuttle an entire economy of a country being sustained by the APC and trying to work against you? Not forgetting that from certain quarters, there are conversations about the APC working against itself and Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shetima. More like, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a western phase of the APC, while there are other sects of the APC that wants, a northern candidate for the presidency. Because this seems like you making that particular situation about PDP instead of the fact that there is an unsorted internal wrangling within the APC.
No, I want to remind you that the formation of the APC in 2013, 2014, during the run-up to 2015 that brought APC to power includes elements of the PDP. There are some governors in the PDP that they camped into the APC to form that government. And if you cannot forget, at that time, even the Senate president and the Speaker of House of Representatives were all from the PDP part of the merger. That's how we came. That's how we came into being as APC and formed the government. So these elements are still there. I can prove to you that where is the last Senate president in 2019, like 2015, 2019, Senator Bukola Saraki? He is back to PDP. What about Dogara, Yakubu Dogara, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives in 2015, 2019? He is back to PDP. What about the other governors that they come from the PDP back into APC in the formation of the party? Most of them are back to PDP. So it means that there's a direct connection between PDP and the APC and the elements of the PDP within the APC. They are still there.
So why was the Minister for Information, Lai Mohammed, coming out to tell Nigerians that there's no element in Aso Rock that is trying to scuttle the chances of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, more like a damage control? And recently we saw the president also in Lafia, Nasarawa State, where he had to hold up the hands of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to say that he is the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Why all of those damage control when you think that it is actually PDP that is trying to scuttle the chances of the APC?
It's not a damage control. The president was with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Admau State.
We've lost your audio.
Yes, can you hear it? Am I audible now?
Okay, we've still lost his audio. We do not have Garba's. Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are okay now.
Okay. So the president was in Adamawa State with the same Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He ushered the same statements. They were together in Yobe. He ushered.
Guys,
we've
lost his audio.
See. So am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So that's it. So the president was in many other campaign grounds, still endorsing Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What he did in Nasarawa State was just a continuity of his endorsement, because he is joining the campaign train on about 10 different rallies in this country. Today, the president is going to be in Katsina with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu still endorsing the same Tinubu. So, but unfortunately, because of the situation on ground, people are now seeing the president action as a mending fences. It's not. There were no crises in the APC other than what the PDP want the media to believe and what PDP want Nigerians to believe. There was not. There was a minor disagreement. A party as large as APC, where is the largest political party in Africa, you expect to have this kind of many issues. But it is still the elements in the APC with the elements of the PDP within the APC that are actually trying to offset the situation, but it's completely under control now.
Okay, now I want to ask a question. There's this back and forth between the APC and the PDP. There's so much blame games going on now. But aside from that, we are going to take a particular tweet from you sometime last year where you said the All Progressives Party should be conscious of the Labour Party. So my question is there a party that seems to be a threat for the All Progressives Congress? But before you take an answer to that, let's look at your tweet. Okay, let me just read it out. It says, your tweet says, a party, RFP, founded by Sam in March 2022 in Lesotho, won the presidency as a result of young people's vote. A similar case happened in Kenya and Zambia, all in 2022. That is why we shouldn't underestimate this obedience. APC must have a modern strategic campaign to secure victory. So is there a party that seems to be a threat to the All Progressives Congress?
Yes, this tweet, I still stand by it. And why? Because we should not underestimate the rise of these digital netizens. We've seen exactly, as I mentioned in these references, what happened in Lesotho, Zambia, and Kenya. And that is why my campaign personally on the internet has been more dominated towards attacking and neutralizing the obedience than even to the PDP. Why? Because I believe they are strategic threats. They might not necessarily be political threats, but they are strategic threats. Why? Because they have invested so much emotions in the campaign. To some of them, they feel like they are doing a movement, right? So if they lost out, which clearly they will do, what could be the reaction after that? So because of this, we have to do a lot of things to ensure that we maintain our zones of influence, the middle class and the new young internet savvy generation of the Southwest, the new young savvy generation of the South, those in the North. We have to make sure that they did not altogether blindly go and support Peter Obi that has nothing to offer other than some vague statistics and wrong proposals. So that is why it is very important for us to really, really look at it as a strategic threat and see what we need to do to neutralize this as much as possible, that we should never underestimate that movement. And you can see, at the time I tweeted that, Obedience was still seen as a very small political movement. But now you can see it is almost all over. So the best solution is to see it as a credible threat and see what we can do to neutralize it as much as possible so that it does not chunk away our votes. We know that we are far ahead of the Labour Party. Labour Party have no any structure at all. They don't even have a single councillor in the country. But they are capable of taking away some of our voters in vain. Why should we allow them? What if they take about 1 million of our votes? That is a huge chunk of votes that we should not allow. So the best solution is to ensure that we don't let them take away our voters, because they could constitute a strategic threat if we don't treat them as a very formidable political party and a formidable political force.
And yet you say they lack capacity?
Yes, they do lack capacity to win election, but they have capacity to interrupt negatively our chances of getting the massive amount of vote we should get. So the best solution is to make sure that their voters does not blindly go and vote in vain, that they should stay and vote for us. So we have to do everything possible to ensure that we don't lose voters to obedience. That's the whole crux of the matter.
Okay, so I see the strategy that you're talking about right there, but something caught my attention when you spoke. Now, you said you have become more particular about keeping your campaigns for the, Tinubu Shetima flag on the internet. And you spoke about attacking the obedience and, putting content that directly addresses their movement. Now, we are talking politics and being able to sell your candidate. Why is there a need to attack another person's ideology instead of just selling what you feel is good for the market?
No, you see, one of the problems most of us have in Nigeria is lack of understanding the politics in its raw form. Politics in its raw form is a gladiatorial contest. You have to go into the ring and fight it out. Whoever knock out the other becomes the winner. That's what it is. So we, as politicians, we look at it that way, especially towards when we have we have few days to the conclusion of the election. It's like you are running an injury time. So the best solution is to gather all your muscles and box them out.
That you're literally talking about tearing down each other in this nation in the face of media, because that's all what we
You don't
see.
understand. No. It's a contest of ideas. So I use my idea to superimpose it over your idea. You try to use your own against mine, and I try as much as possible to make sure that mine win against you.
Okay, so
it's the
Garba,
kind of a
let's
gladiatorial
stay on
contest,
that
but
point
without
you're
really
talking
physical
about.
fight.
Talking ideas comparatively between Tinubu and the likes of Labour Party or the People's Democratic Party. We have not seen our presidential candidate tussle over ideas, only looking for dark skeletons in each other's cupboard. We have
Especially
not
between the APC and
the
PDP.
PDP. We haven't seen ideas being tussled over. Okay, you said you want to work around the economy with this system, and we have this idea and this system. That's not the conversation we see. It's not singling, especially from your principle.
No, you see, the problem is that you people really don't pay attention. Most people don't pay attention to the principle. Every other place Asiwaju is actually delivers a very compelling, pragmatic policy statement. But because of the media frenzy around his appearances and the rallies that he organized, and the new generation of internet netizens that only want to see Mr. Macaroni and other players just joking around with their official, that is why they don't pay attention to Asiwaju. There is no candidate in this country that have articulated Nigeria's vision now among these aspirants than Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Go and look at the Renewed Hope manifestos. And also, this same Renewed Hope 2023 manifesto is what he moved around the country talking about. He has articulated macroeconomic policies more than any other candidate in this country. He has articulated our trade policies more than any other candidate in this country. If you look at his industrialization policy, gas policy, housing policy, education policy, healthcare policy, agriculture policy, foreign policy, every other sector of Nigeria, this man was able to break it into pieces. Even in places where people carry and start making jest of it, especially when you talk about electricity generation, when you talk about transmission, people take it as he was just trying to joke. Meanwhile, he is making a very strong policy statement, a very heavy policy statement. Like you
Agreed.
are
On
saying,
paper, you have your policy. In comparative conversation with other parties, it is not
no,
your idea and your policies versus
no.
theirs.
That's why I say
It's your ideology of we are more
Superior,
fit.
we are more
Yes, we are
fit.
more fit for the seat than yours.
no. Let me explain to you. Why is Asiwaju rallying around the country? Why is he talking to common people wherever he goes? Why is he articulating this policy? It's because he believes in it, and he believes that he has to carry it to across the nooks and crannies of this country. But because he is not doing a modernized, office sitting.
Okay, we hope the network allows Garba to come and defend his cause some more. Because we are not saying there is the absence of policy statements or policy documents by either of these parties, but we're saying constructive conversations and cancelling out, these ideologies party to party. It's not available. It's the fact that, it is my turn. I did massive work in Lagos and I'll do better,
No.
right? Okay. So Gabra, you are back. You can continue with your trend of thought.
Yes, no politics.
Serious issues, yeah. I just hope that we get this network issue sorted out pretty fast, even as we wound down on the conversation. But a lot of things here stated this morning, more like last lap to the elections and campaigns. So you're going into the, the ring to fight for finish. But beyond going into the ring to fight for finish, let us see how these presidential candidates are putting out their policies and trying to
Yeah.
push and woo Nigerians to vote for them, rather than we sitting here and seeing campaigns and it's all about the PDP did this or the APC did that and all the blame games that are going on. I don't think it's the best way to politic for your candidacy and all of that. Remember also where, you know, the APC came for campaigns here in Akwa Ibom
Yeah.
State and what he said concerning the governor, you know, of Akwa Ibom State, calling him this boy and all of that. But we still have Admau Garba join us. Very quickly now, as we wrap up on the conversation, one thing I would like us to talk about is the sentiment or the issues and, you know, what Nigerians think about the APC presidential candidate is different from what you're telling us. Now, I also seen an article where you say that Nigerians will regret for 20 years if Tinubu loses the elections. Let's talk about that. Why did you say that?
Because we are heading in a very turbulent century. The whole global order is reshaping. In fact, if you look at the last World Economic Forum that was held in January, it's all talking about the global reset. So for you to have a reset, you need a nationalist, pragmatic, and patriotic citizen to head your country. And you need someone that understands the international working systems and knows the value of power, I mean political power, and how he can navigate through not to enslave the country in the new emerging global dynamics. Asiwa Jubola Ahmed Tinubu is the kind of man that is completely prepared for this. Every of his speeches, every of his deliveries, every of his activities in political participation in history has connotes an innate readiness to deliver this kind of promise for the future of Nigeria. And that is why I said, if we mistakenly miss a caliber of Asiwa Jibola Ahmed Tinubu in Asoro Villa for the next 8 years, we will likely regret it for the next 20 years. Why?
Now, let me
Because
even
we are
bring us
going
back to some of the allegations that are hanging over his neck. His health issue, his certificate forgery, and of course the drug issue also. Does this present us, Nigerians, with a very credible candidate?
in fact, I don't know why we always think about the health issue. This man, now I think he's in his 32nd state. And don't forget, moving around the country. Prior to this period, during the primary election, the run up to primary election, he toured the entire country, all through the country, campaigning. And look at his decisions, despite all the weariness and inactivities and a lot of activities that he has overwhelmed his political movements. Look at his decisions. He took the right decision during the primary election and emerged a winner. He took the right decision in the emergence of his vice president. He took the right decisions in selecting his own team. He took the right decision in arranging a campaign team between the Independent Campaign Council and Presidential Campaign Council. He took the right decision at every single point. How can a man be standing for hours talking to people in town halls, in different massive rallies, all over the country, different places, every day, every time, be termed as sick? For God's sake, this is just a media organized sickness. But in reality, Asiwa Jubola Ahmed Tinubu is as healthy as me, that is 40 years old. That's what I see him. Whenever I sit very close to him, I see a very strong, energetic man who we need to explore this energy very, very fast because we have a lot to tap into him. That one, to me, is just a jamboree. The issue of drug case, you and I know that the highest crime you will commit in the US, apart from homicide, is drug dealing. Nobody has drug dealings in the US and escape prison time. No one, no way, there is no way you'll have a drug dealing in the US and not being in jail. You will automatically be jailed. How can, in the same US, after this man was there, they asked him for tax, some arrangement around his tax, and asked him to pay $465,000 and go with the remaining money. And then we now say it's a drug dealing. How can it be a drug dealing? Do you imagine a CIA or FBI or any law enforcement in the US having somebody on drug and let him go? and he will have his family there, he will be visiting there. How can that happen? So these are all just a political game that the opponents are playing at, similar to the way we are also playing our own. But it's all a phantom lie. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so this is something I'm going to ask before we let you go. Because, I mean, he's your principal. One of your assignments is to sell in the best way you can. But Nigerians are back to the place where we say in 2015, the All Progressive Congress packaged President Muhammadu Buhari and sold him to Nigerians the best possible way. Nigerians bought the idea, voted for him to become president. Almost 8 years down the lines, if you enter the streets of Nigeria, they could, they would whip out their eyes for having a Buhari, as president. Now, some Nigerians feel that this is going to be a repeat play with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's still the APC coming again with a nicer package, in spite of the fact that Nigerians are really questioning his health that you have just explained the way. Are you sure we will not be, crying bitter tears again after 8 years if your principal is being elected into office?
Yeah, let me just say something. Not a nicer package. It's more like they are packaging and selling to Nigerians and making it look like it's a nice package.
They're hampering on the things he has done in Lagos State and his articulation with being able to pick people that can work. So let's say it's a nicer perspective. Okay. So what are your thoughts? Like in another 1 minute, because we are out of time.
To be very candid with you, President Muhammadu Buhari was the best choice for Nigerians in 2015. If we had not had President Muhammadu Buhari, I am not sure we would be having a country today.
Nigerians don't share the same sentiment, sir.
I am not sure. Do you know what President Muhammadu Buhari is doing in Akwa Ibom now? Do you know that there is a rail infrastructure across our entire 856 miles of our shoreline that is being constructed, whereby you will navigate all the way from Badagry to Calabar South on rail? Is not being constructed. Your shoreline that has been abandoned for a very long time, now a lot of massive development activities is ongoing, courtesy of President Muhammadu Buhari. Do you know that there is about $5 billion injected business opportunity that came to build refinery in Akwa Ibom because of President Muhammadu Buhari? So you see, we don't see what President Muhammadu Buhari has done now because he's a long-term guy. He's not a short-term guy. He doesn't think like for 2-3 weeks or maybe 1 to 2 months or 1 year kind of guy. He look at 10, 20, 30 years, how this is going to fundamentally transform and change the whole situation. What President Muhammadu Buhari has done in this country after his term, in the next 5 years, I'm sure every home in this country, similar to the way we have Gandhi's image in India, Dinesh Gandhi. That's how you see every home in Nigeria will now be having President Muhammadu Buhari's
So quickly address Uya's question. Are we seeing another repackaging?
No, Asiwaju is going to consolidate and continue this giant development stride that have been started and organized by President Muhammadu Buhari. A very fantastic opportunity for Nigerians to try. Let everybody go and vote for APC. That's the only saving grace for Nigeria right now.
Okay, we have to say a very big thank you to you for coming on the show today and, lending us your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge. Admau Garba, he's the Deputy Director, Media, Tinubu Shetima, Grassroots Independent Campaign Council. Thank you very much for coming on Spectrum Television this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It was a very fantastic conversation. I like the interrogations.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you.
Okay, serious issues being discussed there. Obviously, he's saying that, look, it's not about packaging anybody. It's more like a consolidation of all of the things that President Muhammadu Buhari has actually done in the last 8 years. So there is that room for continuity. But we just hope that at the end of the day, Nigerians will be afforded the opportunity to choose who they actually want
who they actually
as the leader or the president moving forward for 2023, actually.
But nice points that he threw in there, Janice, about the fact that Buhari is more of the long-term guy. So most of the things he has done, in the immediacy, Nigerians can't appreciate it because it's not putting immediate money on the table. But it might be something our children will come to be grateful for in the next years. Well, we are still here for it because in the next couple of years, you will still be able to hear, okay, this was done in, President Buhari's regime at this time. So let's see how that pans out. If, like he said, now Garba, I'm talking about, if there will be a time when Nigerians can look back and say, okay, we see what he was doing. But right now, Nigerians are not buying that. And if you do not buy it, your PVC is still where you're going to decide who rules you in the next couple of years in this country. But that's going to be where we'll wrap up this show this morning, Janice. My name is Uyanek, and I want to say a big thank you to you for being a part of this show. Thank you for always choosing Spectrum Television. Thank you for being a part of Rise and Shine.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see you again tomorrow with another edition of Rise and Shine Daily. My name is Janice Cobham, and thank you to all of those who work behind the scene to make sure that production is successful. And of course, thank you once again to Garba, Admau, of course, our guest on the show this morning. And to you that always make it happen for us to be here, thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.